Bilgewater, monsters are real. When I was a girl, my mother was murdered by a low-life coward named Gangplank. He shot me and left me for dead. There was no trial. In Bilgewater, he was the law. I hunted him. I killed his men. Then, I watched Gangplank die, washed away on the burning tide. But there are still monsters about. For centuries, the Buru people have protected these islands from the worst of them. But even they fear the Harrowings. Attacks in the form of a lethal black mist, courtesy of our unliving neighbors on the Shadow Isles. Each time, the Harrowings return stronger, while the Buru grow distant. How long can we rely on prayers and magic? My monsters are flesh and blood. They don't frighten me. Only one thing does. Becoming one of them. It's almost quiet from up here. If only I didn't know better.
Good morning, Captain. Your guest has arrived.
Raffen, remember when we could just take what we wanted, go where we wanted? We didn't have a care in the world. Now look at us. Taking appointments, attempting diplomacy.
Well, at least our line of diplomacy still involves guns.
That may be true, but when he was Reaver King, Gangplank only used guns. If I unite the gangs with violence, will the city still think of me as a savior?
Gangplank was a tyrant, Sarah. You're tough, but you aren't cruel. I'm proud to be your first mate, and the rest of the crew is proud to call you our captain. The gangs will follow you. It's only a matter of time.
They can't follow me if they're dead. Hopefully I can change their minds before they're all wiped out.
Some dogs won't obey until you show them the stick.
Well then, let's not keep Captain Thorne waiting any longer.
Hello everybody, my name is Rolak, and welcome to Ruined King, a League of Legends story. This is an RPG based around in the League of Legends world of Runeterra, primarily in the city of Bilgewater. Now, there is a lot to go over this game, and I think it's best if we just go along with it for now, because there are so many things to go for. First thing, interacting with the environment. Tapping the Scan Environment button will allow you to see things you can interact in the environment, such as random bits of pottery, boxes, and whatnot, and chests. Chests can contain a variety of good things, such as potions, equipment items, and gold, and we'll get to all the necessities later. When there's just a big pile of stuff, you can just spam interact button like so, and just get as much stuff as you can. Again, a lot of mechanics, but we will be getting into them much more into detail later. Nothing to report, Captain.
Gangplank. I thought my hatred would die with you. I was wrong.
But you beat him. You're still breathing, and he's in little pieces all over the bottom of the ocean. Those bullets are just little reminders.
I wish they didn't remind me so damn much.
Thankfully, there's a lot of talking done by voice work, so I don't have to worry about voicing a good chunk of the characters. Gangplank wasn't a man, he was an idea. Some people say ideas don't die. Gangplank was a killer, but more than anything, a con man. He'd spin tails of gold turning into sailors and the thugs. Gangplank ran his town like he ran his ships. Gave him sweat or blood. No matter what crew I'm part of, I give it my all. A good chunk of the time, characters outside of the important main crew don't really say too much interesting, just kind of like lore tidbits here and there. There's a few more things for us to collect here. It's meant to want fair and nice. They like Gangplank that way. Use Gangplank's gone, my people have getting rich. Long may new queen reign. Talk. Noxus, we would have thrown Gangplank in the arena. Would have been more fun. Looks for the Black Mist, but me, I think it keeps life interesting. Alright, let's see what Captain Thorn has to say for us. Or we can just keep walking. It's been a while since I've gone through the entirety of the opening, but I think we're good for now.
I see you've been doing some remodeling.
What can I say? The place needed a woman's touch. I don't think the previous owner would mind.
Guess not. Seeing as how you gunned him down, along with the rest of the conclave.
Are you here to parley, Captain Thorn, or to criticize my sense of decor? I trust you've considered my offer.
Offer? Hand over my operations to you, my fleet and all of my men, or else? Misfortune. You may have killed Gangplank, stolen his fancy mana, but that don't make you my queen. From where I'm standing, it looks like Bilgewater is still up for grabs. Now give it up, girl. You know I'd hate to ruin that pretty face.
So much for diplomacy.
You know, Raffen, I think I'm starting to enjoy it.
Alright, combat. Combat is interesting in this game, to say the least. Got your fighter cards left and right. Left is your party, right is the enemy. The initiative bar displays the order in which the fighters will perform actions. When a fighter's portrait reaches the front of the initiative bar, it is their turn. When it's your fighter's turn, we can perform one of two combat abilities. Instant abilities do not cost mana and are performed immediately after confirming the target. We have lane abilities that cost mana and require time to cast. You gotta pay attention to the fighter turn in order when selecting abilities. Alright, so you got instant and lane. Number 2, sorry. So, for the instant attacks, really don't do a whole lot interesting. It's just a simple, straightforward attack or a buff. As for the lane attacks, well, that's potions, don't mind that. As for lane attacks, we have two moderately quick ones that don't do a whole lot but may buff your allies. The middle part, which is kind of all-around type abilities that do things more interestingly. And the last two are your heavy hitters. They take the longest to charge up, but they do the most damage or assistance to your allies. Now you might notice just next to our mana bar we have another bar. That is overcharge, and as you can see, love tab generates 10 overcharge. Overcharge is bonus mana, to say the least. It's a bit tricky to tell. When you use an ability, you use up mana, obviously, but with overcharge you can spend all your overcharge that you have, or the amount that's needed to cast an ability, and it will instead use the overcharge in addition to any mana if there's not enough overcharge left. So for now, we can just go ahead and just build it up for now. Probably should have busted myself, but that's besides the point. When an enemy doesn't act, it means that they're probably charging up a lane attack as well, as evident by the initiative bar. So doing aim shot. By pressing Y or whatever button you're using, you're able to investigate your enemies, inspect them, is more or less like it. You can see what abilities they have, what debuffs or buffs they have. Misfortune has an ability, or has a mechanic called Tapped. Basically, the first time you deal damage to an enemy, you apply Tap to them, as indicated by the little icon next to the portrait down in the bottom right. Using certain abilities while they're tapped will cause them to take more damage, such as Heartbreaker. Thankfully, this is like the tutorial fight, so there isn't really anything too dangerous to worry about. We also have our instant buff ability, Fancy Footwork. This decreases damage taken by an additional 40% and increases our evasion up by 10%. And we also have a passive mechanic called Strut. It increases our haste by 5% per stack. It's removed if we take damage, so the evasion is very nice to have. For now, I think I'm just going to apply some more damage. Crit is nice. Yeah, nothing too dangerous, really, to be having here. I'm just going to do another love tap. Pretty simple stuff to start out with. And now we got Captain Thorn. Yes, Overcharge is temporary mana. Yeah, Overcharge. Using Overcharge is the key to sustaining your mana later in the game. It's very handy. I'm going to buff myself up because, I don't know, Thorn might deal some good damage. That's not that much. And he has an ability where he has to reload, so that gives us plenty of time to just rough him up a little bit. Great tutorial fight. It just has a mechanic where he just reloads. Wonderful. You might notice that we're able to move into different lanes as well. We have the balance lane, which is just simple ability, nothing different. Speed lane doesn't reduce damage, but we act faster in the initiative order. And then there's power lane, which deals more damage, but we act later in the initiative order. You can tell how much damage you deal in each lane. However, that damage is not 100% accurate, because sometimes you might get a crit or might get additional damage buff from something. That will be explained later. There we go. That's our first victory. At the end of fights, you're judged on how well you did, depending on how many enemies you slain, if you only used Overcharge, and how many waves you fought through. You total it up to your experience, and you gain loot at the end of it as well. We got gold, which is our currency, and white essence, which is used for enchanting, which we'll get into later. Tally up our experience, and yeah.
I'll consider this your formal surrender.
The Syndicate will never follow you. You hear me, tyrant? I'll die first.
I see. How about you boys? Does your captain speak for you all? Well then, Captain Thorn. I'd say this meeting is adjourned. The rest of you, welcome to my crew. Prove yourselves loyal and you'll be rewarded. Betray me, or even whisper the name Gangplank, and I'll stuff you in a box with your former captain. Understood?
Yes, Captain.
Another successful recruitment. Minus a few stubborn holdouts, the Syndicate's with us now. Their ships, their guns.
But none of their leaders.
Not yet.
Even if I have to put a bullet in every captain from the shipyards to the slaughter docks, I will make them understand. Bilgewater belongs to Sarah Fortune. Raffen?
Now we got a Mistwalker Sailor to deal with. Oh yeah, lane switching is also an important mechanic on this. When selecting lane abilities, we do place ourselves in the position of certain buffs and debuffs. Yeah, doing that. Already paid attention to that stuff. There is something called a primed mist bomb. Well, that's just her passive, apparently. On death, deals moderate damage to all champions. A speed lane attack will disarm the bomb. I'm just going to do this. Why am I worried about mana? I don't need to be worried about mana. It's too early. So yeah, always pay attention to what enemy you're fighting. Always inspect them, see if they have any debuff that could be dangerous to your team, because it can be pretty bad if something goes off. But we dispelled the bomb, so we don't take a crap load of damage, so we're good to go. I'm not too worried about experience or anything. This is pretty early on. Fortune's not even going to be in our team for a while. Well.
The Black Mist. How is this possible?
Alright, let's fight the mist and find survivors. Are we getting introduced to our... poison mist, right. This is what I was trying to talk about last time, but it was kind of not that. Hazards. Hazards are an important part of combat as well. We will see a little square on the combat or initiative bar. I should keep going to that. The initiative bar. If your champion's icon, for example, if we use Shredder, will end up in the poison... What the hell is it called? Poison Mist. We'll end up in the Poison Mist area, which will poison us, dealing a good chunk of damage to us. But if we're smart and play around it, we don't have to worry about that. Using your abilities and determining how fast or slow you want the abilities to be is very important to stay out of hazards, or jump into buffs, because we will be getting into buffs later on. Okay. Nearby target. That counts as a nearby target, yes? Okay, there we go. Sometimes saying a nearby target is very iffy, because you might just think, oh, it's literally next to just the other enemy. No. They have to be right next to each other for a double up to work. Otherwise, it's not going to be effective, unfortunately. This game's a bit buggy here and there, but that's for later. Dead already. Damn it. Yeah, didn't last long. But there we go. What I used right there was a dungeon ability. Each champion... Yes, we're going to be getting more people later on. Each champion has a dungeon ability. This is basically an initiating attack to get you started in combat. Every champion has a different type of ability to use. Some interact with the overworld, but we'll get into the details later. We'll get into details when we actually get more characters and more mechanics unlocked and just pretty much everything. This is still the tutorial, so I'm not going to be explaining everything too much. We didn't even see him coming. I'm not even supposed to be here today. Where are you supposed to be then, man? Cry for help. Oi. Okay, I guess we have to be in the mist. Special Wharf Rat. Okay. Got the hazard again. Inspect mode. Yes, I am aware of what inspect mode is. Yes. What does the Wharf Rat have? Shifting form. Non-speed lane attacks have a 50% chance of miss. Okay. Non-speed lane, so it's got to be a speed lane, and we dispel it with speed lane. Okay, I'm just going to do this. Because that'll deal a good chunk of damage to him. Oh, love tap. Also, whenever an enemy gets tapped, they also just gain an additional bit of damage. I believe so. Where is... Right. Dealing 17 damage if they didn't already have tap applied. That's what tap is. I'm gonna end up in the speed lane. God damn it. Yeah, might as well just do this. Yes, I'm aware of what healing is. Yes, if the battle ends with every champion at 0, if every champion gets to 0 health, the battle's over. You have to go to your last save point, and it's not fun, to say the least. Luckily, there are healing mechanics that characters have that we'll get into later. And there's also potions. By tapping up on the D-pad, we're able to have our potions at the ready. We got our health potion, restores health, mana potion, restores mana, and we got our revival potion, which basically is a revive from Pokemon, restores them to a certain amount of health, and gets them back in the fight. That will using a potion will use up a character's turn, however, so use them carefully. As it currently stands, there are very easy battles here, mostly because it's on normal as well, so. Thank you so much, Captain. I was going for sure. Captain, where's Raffin? He was just here. Can't have gone far. Gods for the captain. I thought I was done for. Well, I wouldn't be celebrating with, half the guy. Is that guy still leaning against? Were you any help at all, good sir? Just leaning, looking cool, not contributing to anything? Might need to reconsider you.
Raffin, what happened?
Run! Leave me!
Alright. 2 more Wharf Rats. Again, nothing too exciting. This is still a tutorial, so we're going to have to get into actually more interesting fights later on, but that'll be for later. I'm not too concerned about whether or not we'll be taking a good chunk of damage. And we're not going to end up in the poison, so we're good here. Missed! Right, that's a thing that happens. Okay. Might as well do this. Hit the other one once. That's exactly what I wanted, thank you. What does that do? Attack power 20%. Oh, good lord. And haste. Oh no. Okay, well, let's do that. Should be fine. Double up. If it kills the first enemy, it deals double the damage into the next enemy. And there we go. Both apply tab, so that's also good. There we go.
Sarah. They came out of nowhere. I couldn't.
Don't talk. Save your strength.
I thought we beat those things in Grey Harbor. Could it be another Harrowing?
I don't know. But if it is, we're going to need help. We're going to need Alawi.